It's Cinemassacre's Monster Madness Godzillathon.
In 1995, Toho killed off Godzilla. In 1998, TriStar raped the name. But then, in what seemed like retaliation, Toho countered back with a new movie that was basically what the American version should have been. It was like a can of air refresher after someone took a nasty shit. It was the first Godzilla movie to be released theatrically in the US since 1985. For many American audiences like myself, it was the first time having the opportunity to see a real Godzilla movie on the big screen. For the fans, it was a miracle, but for the general public, it seemed to get overlooked. People were confused, thinking it was a sequel to the American version, but we knew it was the real deal. Again, it was sort of a remake, a kickstart to a new series. We assume that it ignores previous installments in the franchise. Godzilla's new look was pretty cool. They made him look different, but kept the overall impression. See, that's how it should have been done. There's a shot where Godzilla's running in the background, which is kinda interesting. But there's also some pretty bad ones. Though most of the time Godzilla's a rubber suit, there's some shots where he's computer generated, and those moments really contrast with the rest of the film and they look awful. Sometimes it just looks better when there's really something in front of the camera. As far as the plot goes, it's nothing special. There's a team of people who ride around and try to find Godzilla. They're called the Godzilla Prevention Network, like they're forecasting a storm. Of course, the army comes in to try attack Godzilla. We've never seen that before. As redundant as that is, it's like a tradition. You gotta have the army scenes. But what makes the movie so great is Godzilla's opponent. To begin with, it was a surprise because going into the movie, we didn't really expect him to fight another monster this time, because with remakes, Godzilla's always been solo. But this monster doesn't even reveal itself until the end of the movie. It starts as a UFO, which looks like a flying whale turd. In the final fight, the UFO extracts Godzilla's DNA and then morphs into the monster we call Orga. Orga is one of the most unique of his enemies to date. Probably the last new enemy of Godzilla that was actually pretty cool. He's so big, he's actually able to swallow Godzilla, or at least partially devour him like a snake eating a rat. But uh-oh, that was a bad idea. Oh! Good stuff. Nothing more or less than what you'd expect, but it was just a nice treat to be able to see Godzilla in the theater in the year 2000 and have such a quick reparation from the disaster 2 years ago. Actually, in Japan, it came out in 1999, only a year after the American version. It couldn't have been any quicker. Unfortunately, it was the last Godzilla movie to be released theatrically here in the US, but it was great to know that Toho was making them again year after year, and eventually, they all came to DVD.
It's Cinemassacre's Monster Madness Godzillathon.
Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. Once the third Godzilla series kicked off, you'd think that they'd be all consecutive sequels. But guess what? This one is actually yet another remake, ignoring all previous films except for the first one. Interesting. Okay, so where do we begin? Well, there's a military device that shoots black holes. A dragonfly comes out the hole, lays an egg, and nasty insects come out. Wow. Where are we going with this? Well, anyway, the insects actually first appeared in the 1956 film Rodan. Another interesting way to tie it in with one of the earlier movies. The insects all fight Godzilla, who pretty much gets the best of them, but they inject some of Godzilla's blood into a giant cocoon which becomes Megaguirus, basically a giant death moth. Some of the effects where Godzilla's underwater are all CG and they look like total garbage. There's a pretty neat scene where someone attaches a homing device to Godzilla's back. It's not too often when someone's able to touch him. They also try to suck him into a black hole, so besides all the usual planes and tanks, they were at least getting kind of creative with different ways to stop Godzilla. There's a really funny moment, which is probably the funniest since Godzilla's drop kick against Megalon. It's when he leaps in the air and does a body slam. Look, there he goes! So Megaguirus starts shooting atomic breath because he originated from Godzilla's DNA, like so many of his recent enemies. Overall, it's not one of the best, and the formula gets a little tiring, but it was still nice to get another Godzilla movie. After this, the series would pick up a little more, so stay tuned, we're almost done.